Yeah. Here's the thing with that. Everyone has a bad side to them and a good side. On this earth, you gotta have both a bad and a good. You gotta have a Satan complex and a Jesus complex or mind. So let me say that one more time. You gotta have both a Satan complex and a Jesus complex, and you use them both on a daily. Some people only use a Satan mind. Some people only use a Jesus mind. Some use both. But after you pass, once you leave this body right here, when you get to the gates before you get into heaven, the Satan part of you leaves and goes back to hell where it came from. The Jesus part of you is what goes into heaven. Basically saying you'll recognize the person, but only the good side of that person. So, yeah, you'll recognize them by how they dress too, minus the sinful dress, but they'll dress regularly up there. So anything you wonder about, if you'll recognize the people you love, you'll recognize everyone. Minus the bad, the sin, and the unnecessariness. Unless it's good, unless it's pure, unless it's holy, that flaw stuff won't be there. So yeah, you'll recognize them. And no, you don't wear white in heaven. Only one that wears white is Jesus. You wear, like, for example, Michael Jackson. Since Michael Jackson has a thing for wearing, sparkly clothes, he might have that on. It just depends. Recognizing someone in heaven depends on how they were on earth, but in a good way. Like, if, for example, up there, if you're a person that likes wearing Adidas, you might have on Adidas. Who knows? It all depends. It depends on how people need to recognize you up there, like how your personality was down here, minus the bad, the ugly, the sinful. Up there, it's just the pureness of you. All the good in you is what's shown in heaven. All the bad is what's shown in hell. So up there, you'll only be recognized by all your pure good sides of your personality, nothing bad. And if you're wondering, like, do animals go to heaven? Everyone that God created, even the animals, yeah, they do as well. Everything with a soul and a spirit goes back to the one that made it. And some might come back, who knows, but yeah. And if you're wondering, oh, do people age in heaven? No. Unless you're a baby who was taken out too early and and God wants you to grow, that might be the only time. But outside of that, if you go to heaven, if you go to heaven and you're like 90, your age will decrease by around, I think about the same age that Jesus was when he died, which is like 33 or 20 or something. Everyone in heaven looks young because there's no sin up there, so you don't age. And yeah, sin is what makes you age, because sin has time, and time has to change. Up in heaven, everything changes except people. People are like, okay, so in hell, what happens? Basically, you go in hell, you're recognized by your ugly and your wicked and your ungodliness. All your sin is down there. All your fears are down there. And yeah, for those who wonder, like, when they say God's always watching you, is He always watching you? He's always watching you. He just won't stop you from doing whatever you want to do. And here's the thing. He cloaked himself to look just like the universe, but he still watches over his creation from a distance. So that way you can do what you want, say what you want, treat people how you want to, choose to do better or worse. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. He just sits there and evaluates your performance in life, and then once you pass, just shows it to you, and then it's up to you how you deal with it. But yeah, you will recognize people in heaven, and when you get up there, trust me, everything you went through on earth is going to seem like nothing. And everyone in heaven had to go through something to get up there. Everyone in heaven had to sacrifice to get up there. And I'm going to repeat this one more time. To follow the way of Jesus is hard. Very, very hard. Because if you are to follow the way of Jesus, you are to deal with the same things he dealt with. If you're to follow the way of Satan, you are to deal with the same things Satan deals with. Meaning, Jesus was hated down here, you'll be hated down here. Jesus was ridiculed down here, you'll be ridiculed. Jesus was murdered down here, you might get murdered down here. Satan was loved and is still loved and worshipped to this day. You follow Satan, you might get loved and worshipped too. Jesus was hated, mocked, ridiculed, betrayed, all that stuff. So I say again, following Jesus is a very hard road, but in the end it's a beautiful life. Following Satan's full of a lot of, if you want to say moments of bliss, but that's Satan. Following him is easy because he runs this entire world. Following Jesus is hard because Jesus ain't got that much control down here. So people saying following Jesus is the best, easiest thing in the world. That is the biggest lie in history other than misleading people. Following Jesus is the most difficult decision, and it's the hardest thing you will ever have to do. Because every day you wake up following Jesus is the day you will want to be dead. And anyone who has ever followed him, you will know. Or anyone who ever has followed him could tell you that honestly. And let me tell you something that's sad. There are those people, and I said it in the video before, there are those people that actually follow Jesus and they'll go to the cross and probably take his place. This, in other words, saying that they're willing to deal with everything he dealt with, not just certain stuff and then skip certain stuff and deal with. They're willing to deal with everything he dealt with, not deal with this and skip that, deal with this and skip that. They're willing to deal with everything. Then there are them so-called followers who are only willing to deal with this, nothing else. Ones who just want to stay below the radar and not deal with nothing. Ones that just go to church ain't learning nothing. Ones that just go to church just to get shine, praise, glory, all that stuff. The ones who actually, follow Jesus ain't in no building, sitting safely, teaching people in a safe house. They're on the streets ministering to the homeless and the lost and sinners, not being afraid to die. If Jesus died, you're going to have to die following him, unfortunately. Like I said before, whatever you don't die for, you will long suffer for, meaning suffer a long time for it. So them people that say following Jesus is the easiest and best thing in the world, they ain't really following Jesus. Because if they were following him, they know that road is difficult, it's hard, and it's, hate to say unnecessary, but following him leads to a beautiful paradise with a lot of hell in the beginning. Some blessings here and there, but mostly hell. Following Satan is a lot of, not to say peace, but Satan will open doors for you more than Jesus does, because technically Jesus can't open doors for you. He wants to, but he can't, because Satan runs this world. Jesus can only open doors for you at a certain point each time. Each time it's time, he can only open a certain door for you each time. Satan can open more than Jesus. Jesus wants to open doors, but unfortunately, he doesn't run this world, so he can only open them every once in a while. And Satan can try to close them, and, just so you understand, so y'all running around with these Bibles and stuff, going to the church and thinking you're safe, and no, Jesus never went to church. Jesus was outside, risking his human life to do what his Father sent him down here to do. So y'all sitting in church, relearning the same stuff over and over again. It's not following Jesus. That had nothing to do with what Jesus was down here for. Nothing to do with it. Period. Nothing. Okay, I'm out.